Major Alvarez, have you been reassigned?
Yes, I have.
What position did you hold as of September 2nd, and what are your assignments as of 8:30 in the morning, September 6th?
September 2nd, I was the major in charge of internal affairs, reporting directly to the chief of police, the way internal affairs should.
And on September 6th, what was your reassignment?
I was reassigned to Patrol Central as the major in charge of Central Patrol.
Were you presented with transfer orders?
No, and the curious thing here is that I went from one section, which is the chief of police, to a different section, which is patrol. And I received any transfer papers or any reasons why.
Were you provided with any disciplinary action notice?
No.
Were you provided with any notice whatsoever?
No.
How did you find out you had been reassigned?
At the 2 o'clock staff meeting in front of the whole staff.
Did your card keys work that day into your office?
No, I came here to this building in the morning to support my chief when he had the meeting with the manager. I made it to my office about 9:30. I took my key card to get in of my own office. I couldn't get in, so I had...
What time in the morning was that, sir?
Around 9:30-ish, okay. I had to knock on the glass and get attention from one of the employees to let me in. I had the key to my office. I was able to get to my office. I found out at that time that my commander was also locked out of the office.
Who was that?
Commander Jose Rodriguez.
Was he reassigned?
He was reassigned at the same time I was. He was reassigned to a different section completely, which is a criminal investigation division under Assistant Chief Siegley, and he also did not receive any transfer papers or any reasons.
To the best of your knowledge, your non-functioning card key, or however it is you gain access, that was your notice?
I guess that was my first notice.
Okay. Now, rather cold notice?
Excuse me?
Was it rather cold notice, rather insensitive?
Well, I expected that as soon as the chief would be suspended, I was going to be removed from IA, so whoever was designated could go in there and try to get information on some of my investigations.
Now, I want to bring you back to the August 2011 timeframe. Did you have any conversations with the city manager, Johnny Martinez, after August 8th, 2011?
Yes, I did.
What was the substance of your communications?
I had called him on the 10th at night, which was Wednesday, and we agreed to meet. He asked to meet around 10 o'clock. I told him I was teaching an internal affairs class to the staff at 10, so he would say about 1 o'clock in the morning. Around 10 in the morning. I said, I'm teaching the class, so we can't do it. We need to change it to like 1 or 2 in the afternoon. So he said he was going to call me after lunch to let me know when to meet. Apparently, I got a call around 6:45, 6:50 in the morning from the manager, Thursday morning, where he says, Al, I'm on my way in. Can we go ahead and meet before anybody gets in, just you and me? He says, it's okay if Al's up, Al Vega, Executive Assistant Al Vega, can he come? He says, yes. So I go, Johnny, I had a feeling, the same way you had a feeling that you wanted me to call you, I had a feeling you were going to call me in the morning, so I'm already dressed, and I'll be there in 10 minutes.
Did you discuss the motions at issue or the rollbacks at issue that have been the scope of this entire proceeding?
Yes, I discussed the 3 rollbacks. I felt that I could assist the situation. The chief was going to be out for 2 weeks. Okay, everything should have gone smoothly if the previous week everything was set up for the rollbacks to have happened. We had people in place already they were not told they were going to take the positions, but especially at the commander level, it was very important that we put those people, replace those people with the commanders. And I think I tried to explain to some of the commissioners that were affected that we were in the process of that. We even met with those commissioners and introduced the acting commanders, which were lieutenants, to those commissioners. So we did not lose a flow of the supervision in those net areas.
Did you walk away with an understanding as to whether or not those demotions or rollbacks were going to be permitted subsequent to that meeting?
Yes, but let me explain. The manager asked me why demotions. I said, well, I got to break it in 2 groups. The first group is Roque and Perez. The reason they're being demoted is the chief back in December had a conversation with them to stay at a particular cigar location. I've heard a lot of information here. A lot of it's good information, a lot of it is bad information. As an internal affairs investigator, and I think I need to address this, we have all kinds of complaints. We have the general complaints, and we do have sergeants, only sergeants do general investigation complaints. Then we have the proactive and public corruption side. Those sides are 3 sergeants with 3 teams. I had to increase my public corruption squad because of the workload we got, okay? Everybody in the public corruption squad is cross-designated and sworn on the Titles 18 and 21 of the Federal Code. Some of the others are not yet, but we're in the process of getting all of the proactive officers sworn, which I'm very proud that we're the only, I believe, the only city in the state of Florida that has that many officers cross-designated, okay? And that comes from not friendship, but from trust, which is very important, and not loyalty. Now, it's been a long day. I lost the train of thought.
Well, that's okay.
What was
Essentially,
yeah, I know. Okay. I explained to the manager that this location, these 2 commanders were told to stay away from, okay? That location is visited heavily by public officials, not only from the city, but from other jurisdictions. Apparently, they did not understand, or they did not abide by the request of the chief of police, who promoted them to those positions and has an expectations. Perception is one of the most important things that you have. I can put 100 cops around your house, and you still perceive that you're not safe. I'm not doing my job, which is very important when you have a location in which one of the employees was arrested twice, once in October 2010 and once in December of 2010 for trafficking cocaine, selling it to our officers. As a matter of fact, on the first arrest, some of these commanders were inside the location while one of their employees, who is not a brother, but grew up with one of the owners, was selling us kilos. The second occasion, again, there was officers inside the store while we were buying kilos from this guy again. We went into his house, which is a couple blocks away, and got more cocaine, okay? So, yeah, that doesn't mean the officers are doing anything wrong, but even before we go there, the perception to the public, to other law enforcement officers, is very simple. They know these people have been arrested, okay? One of the co-owners is a convicted felon, federally. He used to be a state senator, okay? The other co-owner was in the middle of an investigation, and I can talk about this because this is historical, okay? In 1988, he was a center of investigation which led to the discipline of 5 officers, high-ranking officers, including a major that was demoted because of gifts, cars, and all kinds of informations. One of the other majors that was relieved last year, or rolled back last year, we had received information that he used to go to work at times with the SUV, park it at the location. Okay.
We're having a narrative at this point which has nothing to do with the substantive issues in this matter, and I'm sure Commissioner.
ultimately, I'll move it on.
Way beyond the scope, and we're not dealing with these individual officers, but just using a broad brush. We can be here for a long time, I'm sure, hearing anecdotes and war stories, but I'd like specific questions to be posed so that we can have specific answers.
I'm trying to clarify
I'll ask-
Commissioner Spence Jones' questions.
Mr. Commissioner, Chairman.
Can I finish my answer?
Briefly.
Okay. Well, basically, this guy will come in, park his SUV, and jump into the owner's Bentley in uniform, drive around the city, and even park it at his TOS major slot. And this is the same people that got those officers in trouble back in 1988. So if the community and the officers know that kind of the convicted felons that frequent that place, together with the elected officials from different jurisdictions, and they see these cops hanging out there in which they've had roll calls there, okay? One of the commanders, Commander Roque, sits there all day and has people go there. That's within his area. And then what broke the camel's back is those tourists that were robbed, or were burglarized in Versailles, that lost all their luggage. Okay, Commander Roque took these people to that cigar company, called the mayor, Armando Gutierrez, and the press. Okay, and maybe the mayor did not know what kind of people those people are. So if anything, the mayor should be concerned where he's going. And this is one of the main reasons why perception is important. Aside from that, there is an investigation.
And I want to go ahead and move it along.
Because, I mean, I've been cut off. Some very appropriate occasions trying to ask very simple questions. And all I've been doing is
Speaking to the mic. Speaking to the mic.
And at this point,
but the bottom line is that, thank you. My apologies, but the bottom line is that I've been cut off for asking direct questions and questions on cross-examination that were very specific and called for yes or no answers. We're listening to an entire narrative now of anecdotal evidence that is not the subject of this particular hearing. And again, it doesn't go to the relevant issues in this particular matter. The chief has already answered those questions regarding that cigar shop where he was photographed at with the owner. I'd like to get back to the issues of the termination. I think that would be appropriate.
And ultimately, I will go ahead and end my examination at this point.
But that photograph did not occur in that place. I need to clarify. A lot of the stuff that the council brought up is not true. And I need the commissioners to know that.
You have knowledge about the photograph?
I have knowledge about the photograph. I am an investigator, okay? And the only thing else I want to say is that there is additional investigations that I cannot do, the city of Miami cannot perform. I have approached other agencies, and they are the ones working those investigations with our help. All those files are in those agencies, okay? That's why when interim chief said that there was no investigations, he has no idea what he's talking about, okay? This photograph was at the beginning of 2010, where the chief had just been promoted, okay? This was the burn notice party, okay? And I have to explain why this photograph came out on the date that it came out.
Where was that photograph taken?
At the burn notice party.
It was not at this location.
Correct.
Okay,
yeah.
and is that photograph appeared to be doctored?
No, it's a good photograph.
Weren't there more individuals on the photograph?
Well, there's other individuals, because this was the burn notice that every city director got invited to, okay? That was one of the first events the chief went to, okay, with his wife. This guy had a cigar roller there, and he happened to be there, and he jumped in the photo op. At no time was this involving anything else. There's also on this blog a mention of an award that the chief gave these guys. That is not true. When the two county officers were shot and killed, we did a fundraiser. Assistant Chief Siegley with the assistance of the county. We had lots and lots of businesses and private sector people donate. Everybody that donated got that certificate that they're talking about here, but they changed it on this blog. This blog is run by Nelson Horta, and the curious thing about the date that the council was so nice to bring out, okay, August 11th. Notice the date, August 11th. That came out in the afternoon. August 11th, I sat down with Mr. Martinez, and I explained to him exactly what I explained to you all now. I told him that this was sensitive information that nobody should know about, okay? That was around I spoke with him from 7:30 to 9:40, okay? I had to drive to my office, to Central, to teach a class on internal affairs. Before I got there, was already on Leo affairs. 4 hours later, this blogger, okay, this blogger here puts out all this information about Cuban crafters. I was shocked that the only person that I had mentioned this information to outside people in my staff and the chief of police was the manager. And I asked him to keep it to himself.
Let me tell you something. Don't be shocked. Because I see a lot of those blogs that where we have meetings and I haven't stepped out of the meeting and he's already in one of the blogs.
This is the original picture. Okay? Okay, now this blogger is financed by Mr. Armando Gutierrez. He's financed by the cigar company, and he's been constantly battling the chief with the maquinitas, just like Mr. Milian has, okay? And you know, in order to get the truth, you need to have the time to listen to it, okay? I would not present anything that is not a fact, okay? Not like Mr. Milian, who has demonstrated to the public on radio shows and radio stations that the police, the chief, uses the maquinitas as a shield and a sword to hide his negligence. That we are constantly, no, I need to say this, okay? Okay? It's important.
You get the chance to rebuttal.
Personal attacks on council.
Chair, this is not being recorded.
I am speaking the truth.
Mr. Chair,
I am not the subject of this litigation. I mean, I could stand here and justify or not justify myself and what I do on a daily living, and I've done that to you when you quizzed me about my representation, and I went above and beyond in giving you assurances. Now I'm being attacked by a major in the police department for being a litigator in a process before this commission. Now, Commissioner Sharnoff, you reminded me about judges letting you get away with that. I don't think a judge, not here, but in all of this hemisphere, would allow one of the attorneys to be attacked by a witness who's gone on a 20-minute rampage and a narrative. It's not responsive to a single question. Now, if that's the way it's going to be conducted, I would have asked for some reciprocity, but I abided by your rules and I cut off my cross-examination. I think it's only fair, and in keeping with the decorum of this forum, to let's get back on track.
Mr. Chairman,
I guess it's
Mr. Chairman, I have concluded my examination.
Okay.
Any questions?
Oh, yes, I have many questions. You are a major in the police department, isn't that true?
Yes, sir.
But your actual rank is that of a sergeant, isn't that also correct?
That's my civil service rank. Yes, sir.
Okay, and as a matter of fact, when you have been transferred from your position in internal affairs, you were transferred to a position of a major, isn't that true?
Yes, sir.
And you were transferred to the same position that would give a major the same duties, responsibilities, and obligations as you had when you were internal affairs. You only changed assignments. Isn't that correct?
No, sir. In internal affairs, I was leading, controlling sensitive and delicate investigations as a patrol sergeant, as a patrol major. Okay, I would not be doing any investigations. I would just be doing paperwork.
Major
and
Alvarez,
I did not receive any transfer papers.
Major Alvarez, you said that before, but that was not my question to you. You were transferred to another position of equal rank with that of a major. Isn't that true?
That part is true.
Okay.
Equal duties, no.
Well, you've been a member of the police department for a long time. Isn't it a fact that no member is entitled to choose what assignment he has or where he's transferred to as long as he is not demoted, denigrated, stripped of his operational responsibilities and duties as a police officer?
Oh, I'm not complaining about the transfer or crying about it. I'm just saying the reason for it is really, really shoddy. I mean,
well, the bottom
somebody should look into it.
Well, the bottom line is that I think you've made the point, but that wasn't the question that was asked. You have not suffered any demotion in your rank.
I answered that already, sir.
Okay, well, you may have answered it, but the truth of the matter is you started talking about you were doing IA and now you're doing another assignment, but you do not have a right to choose your assignment in the police department, do you?
Oh, that's correct.
Okay. Now, you were talking about this tobacco shop. How long have you known about, you said a partial owner was a convicted felon, about this tobacco shop and its nefarious connections?
Oh, now you want me to talk about it? Great.
You know, Major, nobody asked you to make an editorial comment.
Okay. Well,
but you've been talking about it for 20 minutes, and I would appreciate if you would answer the question.
I will answer the question. I'll be more than happy to. You stopped me the last time I tried to answer it.
Well, you didn't answer it.
I am going to answer it now.
Well, don't interrupt me. Listen to the question.
I already know the question.
How long have you known about this tobacco shop?
Well, like I said, in October of 2010 is when we first realized what was going on, when we arrested a guy by the name of Lazaro.
I heard you, but
no,
it calls
sir,
for a date.
I got to finish my question. I mean, my answer.
You don't have a question to ask.
I have to finish my answer.
It calls for a date.
Okay, in October.
Would you answer the date?
In October, I think I'm not 100% sure. It was like October 28th or the 18th, okay? A person by the first name of Lazaro, I don't have his last name, was arrested selling kilos to our officers.
Okay.
That person, let me finish the answer.
But that's not the answer. The answer calls for
Sir,
a date.
you can't tell me what my answer is.
Yes, I can, actually. This is
I want to finish
cross-examination.
my answer unless I'm stopped.
Mr. Chairman, it calls for a date. It doesn't call for a narrative.
The date, October.
Of 2010. Since that date, how many officers have been disciplined from the city of Miami for having visited that tobacco shop?
Sir, like
The question is simple.
I haven't
Answer
even
the
started.
question.
I haven't
How
even
many
started.
officers have been disciplined? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I cannot answer the question that way. So I will say nobody has been disciplined.
That's the answer, isn't
Okay,
it?
sir, let me finish my answer.
No, that's
Mr.
the answer.
Hey, I'm not
Chairman,
gonna
can
put
you
up
please
with
assume
this.
control of the proceedings?
Okay?
Please
your
assume,
pardon?
please assume control of the proceedings. And
How
we gotta-
look,
we're 15 hours in.
1:34. We've been here since 9 o'clock in the morning. We've been sitting here, very patient,
I know.
and at this last moment, I want, we start bringing new people.
Again,
Go ahead.
because of the
Yes,
procedures,
yes.
I want to limit the scope
Yes,
to the questions I asked.
Well, the question was raised about the tobacco shop, and I'm going on the tobacco shop. So the answer, Mayor, isn't it true that no officer from the City of Miami Police Department has been disciplined for visiting that tobacco shop? True or not?
You want me to answer the question?
Yes.
Or do you want me to give you what you want to hear?
No, you want to respond with a narrative, and it calls for a yes or a no. You can answer the question with a yes or a no?
Sir, in my 31 years, every court I've been to, I'm always allowed to finish my answer.
Well, in every court I've been to, you have to respond to the question that's asked. If not, you're being evasive and trying to hide the truth.
No, sir.
Can you give us
I
the
will
name of a
answer- I
single
will answer
officer
the
that has been
question.
disciplined for going to the tobacco shop?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, he's actually absolutely correct. On cross-examination, you can ask leading questions that require a yes or no answer. That's the purpose of cross-examination. That's what differentiates it, I'm sorry, this is getting kind of late, from direct examination, where the witness can expound upon his answers and you ask open-ended questions. So, you know, let's be fair here. Let's do things right, please.
Okay, sir, in order to answer the question, I need to know what is your definition of discipline? What do you mean by discipline?
Any kind of discipline, Major Alvarez, whether it was a suspension or a termination, or the member was processed and disciplined for cavorting with convicted felons or those known to associate with convicted felons.
Okay. There was no discipline as per what the attorney described. There's other things, but there's no discipline.
There's no off.
Now, the question here is very simple. In internal affairs and in the City of Miami Police Department, associating with known or convicted felons can be a matter of investigation and discipline. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
Okay, has the chief ever been investigated for associating with the owner of that shop?
Which chief?
Your chief, Esposito.
No.
Okay. And in addition to that, has any general order been emitted by the City of Miami Police Department through the channels of the internal affairs, through the general command, at roll call, telling officers specifically that they are not to go to this place and that the place is off limits?
It is okay for an officer, no, it is okay for an officer to stop and get a cigar and leave, but it's not okay when you congregate, do roll calls there, okay, bring the media and bring the elected officials and putting them in harm's way.
Major Alvarez, has any officer or any supervisor for the City of Miami Police Department been disciplined for conducting what you say was a roll call at that particular location?
No.
Has any officer who participated in the fundraiser for the officers that were slain in the line of duty been investigated or disciplined for having participated at that fundraiser at the tobacco shop?
Sir, the fundraiser was not at the tobacco shop. The fundraiser was at the PBA Hall on Northwest 14th Street.
Let me ask you this. Isn't it true that fundraisers and retirement parties, including ones that the chief attended at that tobacco shop, took place within the last year?
I do not know when the chief attended, and the fundraiser, again, did not occur there.
In your position of internal affairs, you're directly responding to the orders of the chief. Isn't that correct?
Correct.
And the chief is the one who put you as head of internal affairs, correct?
That is correct.
And you had no prior experience in running internal affairs before the chief put you in that slot, correct?
I had never set foot there.
And were you ever the subject of any disciplinary action by your department?
Yes, I was.
Now, you talked about files that were removed from the City of Miami Police Department. If I'm not mistaken, I heard you say that some files were removed from there, correct?
Oh, yes.
Okay, how many files approximately were removed?
Okay, there's no way of us being able to say a number of files. When I took over internal affairs, I noticed that our vault, we have a vault where files are kept, was in total disarray. I noticed that there's a lot of files missing. A lot could mean one to me is a lot, but it could be 20, 10. We haven't been able to identify. It was more important first to get the unit running, correct the SOPs. We were bombarded with investigations because we opened up the public corruption unit as soon as we took up. And just from the mayor's office, everybody would go to him because of his transparency, and they would bring those investigations to us. So it took me almost a year to be able to get somebody and assign them to the vault. And we're in the process of trying to reconstruct those missing files, because in order to destroy files, you have to go through a very extensive procedure. We're still trying to destroy files that the department was working on since 2008, and the clerk's office is the only person that can destroy files in the City of Miami.
Okay, Major, the question was very simple. Do you know the number of files, yes or no?
No.
Okay, did you remove any files from the internal affair vaults?
No.
And have you transferred any files from the internal affair vaults to any other agency?
I can't answer that.
Under what privilege?
I refuse to answer. Certify the question.
Well, there's no certification process here.
I understand that you answered you had taken some files out and you took them to other agencies.
No, what I said is that when we work with other agencies, they keep the files.
Okay.
That's what I said.
And let me ask you this, Major. Have you opened up any investigations on Commander Roque in the Internal Affairs Unit?
I'm not allowed to answer that question.
And who gave you the order not to answer that question?
It's not an order. It's part of policy and procedure.
Which policy and procedure? Could you cite it for the record?
Excuse me?
What policy and procedure? Could you cite it for the record?
I can't, because then I will be giving you an answer that I can't give you publicly.
I'm asking you for the policy and procedure, not for the file, not for the name. What is the policy and procedure that doesn't allow you to tell us if you've opened up an investigation?
Exactly. If I give you the answer of the policy and procedure, then you know what I'm doing.
Okay.
So I can't answer that.
Policy and procedure you can't cite in any of the policies and procedures of the City of Miami Police Department, correct?
Well, there's also state law and federal law that covers that.
That's right.
Okay.
Let me ask you this. Did you open up any investigations on Assistant Chief Brown?
No, he has never been investigated. And as a matter of fact, the issue you brought up about the previous investigation, and I want to clarify, yeah, it is going to be inconclusive. His rights were violated under Chapter 12.
Inconclusive.
Inconclusive. That means that there's no found of guilt and there's no found of innocence. It was inconclusive. And yes, I believe, and I agree with Carlos Avila, that he was violated, his rights were violated by the previous administration, and that is not going anywhere.
And Major, one question about Commander Perez. Have you opened up any investigations on Commander Perez?
I can't answer.
All right. At this time, let me ask you this. Insubordination, is it an offense punishable by the policies and procedures of the City of Miami Police Department?
Yes, those procedures, it is a violation of those procedures by departmental orders, which, by the way, the manager has no influence on departmental orders. Departmental orders are signed and approved by the Chief of Police and the Joint Chiefs of Police, and also CALEA, which is a nationwide certification department that comes in and sets the operating standards for the police department. Not all police departments in the United States are certified by CALEA. That brings, if you get certified by CALEA, you get a lot of benefits. that other agencies don't. They come in, they look at our departmental orders.
Major,
they're
we
the
didn't
ones
ask
who
you about
mandate it.
Kalia or Hialeah. We asked you simply the one question.
Sir, you're trying to be funny?
No, I think you're trying to be funny
I'm
by
very
not being
serious. I'm
responsible.
very serious what I'm talking about.
Well, you're not, because
Okay,
you've been
it's
making
very
jokes for a
important.
while. Answer the question. Is insubordination a violation of policies and procedures, and can you cite the policy and procedure that it is a violation of?
I already answered that, and I cannot cite it. I don't have the book in front of me.
Is insubordination an offense that can lead to termination of a member of the police force for not obeying a lawful and reasonable order?
Yes, you could.
And you agree with us here that it's the city manager who has the authority to supervise and control the actions of the police chief in the City of Miami Police Department?
The police chief, yes. The operating, no.
No further questions.
No questions.
That's it. Any questions, anyone?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That's it. Everybody spoke? Close now, discussion.